Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday. It is December 10, 2010. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Hope you had a lovely day. We have an awesome night in store for you. We are going to be speaking with the Wolf Daddy. That is Leyton Cougar of Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary in New Mexico. And he's going to be talking to us tonight about animal totems. Leyton, of course, is the director of Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary, and they're not just about rescuing captive bred wolves in need of sanctuary. They are about education. It's about the people. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place and experience. We had him on the show talking about what he does at the sanctuary, and you can learn more about that, of course, by going to his site at wildspiritwolfsanctuary.org, or his blog is wolfdaddy.moonfruit.com. I guess he's still working on his new site, which is wolfdaddy.org, but you can go there to stay up to date and everything that's going on. Since the last time we had him on the show, he finished his book, A Wolf and His Man, so we'll be able to talk about that and see how that is going. But what are animal totems? He, of course, comes from a long line of people who are very close to the earth. Of course, his native background and living off the land in a beautiful high desert in New Mexico, running with wolves, playing with wolves, caring for wolves every day, has become quite close to wolves and, of course, other animals. But, you know, people ask all the time, how do you know what your animal totem is? And you can probably start by asking yourself if you've ever felt drawn to one animal or another without really being able to explain it. Maybe one that comes to you in dreams. Do certain kind of animals consistently appear in your life? It doesn't necessarily need to be physical appearance, but could as well. Of course, there are different lines of beliefs. Some people believe that there are 9 animals and that one is with you your whole life, and other beliefs say that there could be many animals that appear certain times in your life, perhaps trying to give you a message. I guess it's up for us to figure out how to listen and benefit from the enormous power that these animal spirits can bring into our life, or just getting closer to even understanding ourselves. If you have any questions or comments for Leyton tonight, please give us a call at 402-237-2525. And if you'd like to join us on the text chat, that's over at truthbrigade.com. He has been running this directing the sanctuary for 14 years, or actually he started off as a volunteer 14 years ago, and now on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. If you would like to join us for the text chat tonight, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call tonight at 402-237-2525. That is 402-AFR-2525. Our special guest tonight is the director of the Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary in New Mexico, which you can find at wildspiritwolfsanctuary.org. Leyton Cougar is also the author of his book, Wolf and His Man. Can't wait to hear how that's going. It is so good to have you back tonight, Leyton. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. Am I coming through all right?
Yeah.
Yay! Well, how's everything going out there in the desert this time of year? I can imagine it's probably a little more chilly than it was in that beautiful September.
Yeah, it's been getting down to like 9 degrees, 14 degrees. And, up here in the mountains, it gets colder than some other places. But we had a little bit of snow, but it's pretty dry right now.
Oh, okay. I bet the wolves love when the snow comes.
Oh, yeah, that's their favorite season.
Well, before we get into the topic tonight, animal totems, can you tell us how the sanctuary is going, if you won that Pepsi challenge that we all voted for you on, and anything else that's going on with your education and outreach?
Well, we did not win the Pepsi challenge. We didn't even really get too terribly close. There was a lot of other nonprofits that obviously had a larger constituency than ours and voted more often. But we'll try again. Financially, we're even keel. We're up to our eyeballs in animals that need rescue, and we just can't rescue them all. And but we've got three or four new arrivals since you were here.
Tell us about them. Did my girl get a boyfriend yet?
You're talking about Cheyenne?
Cheyenne.
Yes, she did. She got a boy. We drove all the way up to Minnesota to get a young male out of a pretty nasty, dirty, filthy, muddy situation in a very small habitat, and brought him home. His name was Wolfie, which
that was my Wolfie's name.
We don't like Wolfie. We don't want Wolfie as a name, and just for, I guess, sort of a joke, I don't know how he got named Argo, but he's a beautiful timber wolf, and they're getting along pretty good.
Well, wait, what's wrong with Wolfie? It's a cute
I don't know.
name.
It's just as corny as Argo, I suppose.
Oh, that is so sweet. Her boyfriend is the name of my old Wolfie.
See, there you go.
That's amazing. Okay, so she finally let a guy in her sanctuary, in her habitat.
Yep. So she's much happier, but she's still human needy. And then we got another giant boy down in Scottsdale, Arizona. He was in a desperate situation. The lady that owned him had to go into hospice and then shortly passed away, so he needed a place to go immediately. So we rushed down there and got him. Since it was only a 5-hour one-way trip, we were able to get him in a day and bring him back. He's just huge, one of the largest animals I've seen. And he's in with Duchess, and so now she's got a boy, but she doesn't really care, and he doesn't really care about her. So not a match made in heaven, but nonetheless, they're not hurting one another, and at least they both have companionship.
Oh, good. That's great.
And then, my assistant Angel, who's, one of the most powerful women in the world, flew up to Washington State, crawled into a culvert where a 3-legged female wolf was hiding, wrestled that wolf into a crate, and then flew back with her to bring that girl home. And I've got a real short, almost 2-minute video on my YouTube site of Angel wrestling that wolf in that culvert. And I encourage everyone to take a look at that YouTube. It's youtube.com/WS Wolfman, and look at Angel.
W.S. Wolfman?
Yeah, W.S. as in wild spirit, so W.S. Wolfman, and look at Angel wrestling that 3-legged wolf in that culvert, and not a whole lot of people would be brave enough to crawl into a tight space like that with the wolf you've never met before and wrestle it into a kennel, but Angel's one tough cookie.
Oh, that's great. Good news. Good to hear. Oh, okay. Wow. Now, tell us about your book. I guess you released it just shortly after you were on our program. Yeah,
and I haven't sent you a copy. You better send me an address so I can send you a copy. But it's selling really, really well. I am just so pleased. The entire Albuquerque Public Library system bought one for each of their libraries. I want to encourage every city across America to buy my book for their library. And we've sold several hundred so far in the last 2 weeks. So we should be on Amazon. I checked last night, and it wasn't up yet. But all the information has been submitted to Amazon, so pester them. They should have that up for sale pretty soon. but it is for sale on our website at wildspiritwolfsanctuary.org, and people can buy it off the website.
Excellent.
It's doing great, and, even my dad cried after when he read it, so we know it's a good book if my dad, salty old rancher hellboy.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the most amazing experience. I swear, if I could just go do the show out from your place, I'd be there jotting down notes of every single one of them. It's just what an incredible life you have, and the stories and experiences you have to share. I'm positive it is just a beautiful tearjerker. That's so cute. Your daddy cried.
Yeah.
Is he going to be mad you telling everyone?
Too bad. I can still take him. He's an old man now.
Now, does he get out and help with the wolfies? Or?
No, he lives up in Washington State. He's currently down in Texas at a national knife-throwing tournament. He likes to throw knives.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Stay tough in his old age, so he's down there with my little brother throwing knives.
Oh, wow.
That's what us country folk do, that's in our spare time.
They just, throw knives and scalp white men at midnight, right? I'm sorry, that's what we do. Oh, goodness. Okay. All right, so your book right now we can get on your site at wildspiritwolfsanctuary.org, and then you said it'll be Amazon and stuff later. Isn't it better to get from your site, though? I mean, don't, Amazon and those other sites kind of compete with the writer of their book?
Well, yeah, we don't get as much money, but and definitely I can use some money, but and it would definitely help the wolves. But at the same time, just getting exposure, making it available everywhere is my goal. I've got it in one bookstore in Port Angeles, my hometown. They're carrying the book, and I've also got it in a bookstore in Albuquerque at Page One, and then a couple other bookstores will pick it up here in a little bit. We're going to get around to them and get some book signings done and that sort of thing. So.
Nice.
But the website's
you should try one of our sponsors, Brave New Bookstore in Austin, Texas. They're excellent, and that might be a great place.
Well, if anybody knows other places, send me the information, and I'll definitely try to get that book all over the place, because I think if you're a canine lover at any level, you're going to pick that book up, and you're going to at least glance at all the beautiful color photographs. There's 120 full-color photographs in the book. There's no black and white photos. It's all slick pages. It's a beautiful, beautiful book, and it's really... even if you don't want to read, it's a great picture book because it tells the story right in photographs. It was so well put together that it really tells our story together in pictures, and it really demonstrates the thousands and thousands of lives that one wolf touched. And so I want to encourage people to pick it up and look at it and buy it, and hopefully we'll have it available in the ebook form pretty darn soon too. So.
And excellent. Ebook would be great. And so you're talking about Raven here?
Uh-huh.
In the book. Can you share with us, maybe one little story that's real close to your heart?
Well, that's hard to pick. I've got so many of them,
Okay, 5.
But, it's just, it's hard for a lot of people to understand that a wolf is not just this big bad beast that runs amok in the woods and eats things. It's hard for them to believe that in reality they can be sweet and healing and therapeutic. But I certainly wouldn't encourage anyone for even a moment to have one as a pet, or to think that they could have one in their home as a pet, because that's definitely not their lifestyle. Raven was a one of a kind, one in a million kind of animal that I just got lucky enough to be able to have him in my life and to travel around with him for over 12 years, meeting people so they can see that he wasn't just the big bad wolf that's going to run amok and eat your children. He also wasn't your pet, but he was an ambassador to his species to help sort of bring the human and the wolves back together and dispel the myth of the big bad beast, and to demonstrate that even a wild animal can have a relationship with a human and be able to interact with other humans. Such a fabulous character. I think one of my favorite stories is I think I mentioned it last time we spoke, but was when the blind boy met Raven. You know, I was talking to a crowd of people when I overheard a mother say, "Do you know what's right in front of you?" And the little boy says, "What?" She said, "It's a wolf." And he just exclaimed, "Oh, my God, a wolf, a wolf. That's my favorite animal in the whole wide world." And I'm thinking, how does a blind kid have a favorite animal if you can't even see him? Mm-hmm. And so I asked the boy, I said, "Would you like to meet a wolf like no other person gets to meet a wolf?" He's like, "Yeah." And I put his hands on Raven's body, on every part of his body, on body parts that Raven wouldn't allow me to touch. He allowed me to let this boy touch. I mean, Raven never let me touch his feet. That was a major taboo, but the boy got to touch his feet, his tail, his mouth, inside his mouth, his tongue, his nose, his ears. And, you know, here I'm crying, and this boy is crying, and the boy's mother is crying, and there's people observing crying, these tears of just joy and, you know, and whatever, you know, just pouring out of emotion because this one blind boy could actually see a wolf with his hands like no other human could ever get a chance to see. And Raven was able to do that. I couldn't have done that by myself, lifted his feet and touched him. He would have definitely bit me. But he understood, and he knew. And I've never met another critter that understood that great. You know, so.
It's amazing how much they know, and, you know, we talked about this last time, too, but just to mention quickly, best dancer wolf, Dakota. You know, of course, you asked, what do you feel like, and I'm like, hi, I want to kiss and hug him and, you know, jump and play, and you're like, okay, and of course, Joy was in the background thinking, oh, no, don't do it, I don't want anyone jumping on me, I don't want anyone kissing me, you know, she didn't want to be knocked over, and he just knew. He knew that we wanted to be jumped on and kissed and smothered and loved, and, you know, Joy, who didn't want to, he knew just to go up and give her gentle kisses, and, I mean, really, just, they're so connected to the source and to the spirit, they just, you know, I wish we could get to that place where we could just
we can, and it's important to know also that, you know, not every animal is that intuitive because they have no desire to be. There are animals, you know, at the sanctuary, of course, that don't
put on any masks for us.
Yeah, you know, an animal that doesn't want to have human interaction, like you saw with Dakota. Powder didn't come up. Powder's like, I ain't doing this. This is not my game. Let that guy do it. And so each animal is its own individual.
Masks or anything for us. They're true to their spirit, just that pure, raw, wild, you know, spirit we were talking about the other night with Hillary Ramos. She had a few wolf experiences, too, so it was neat to talk about that earlier during the week. But, I mean, how beautiful is that? Just, you know, living in the spirit at the moment, not feeling like well, you know, I don't really want to talk to these humans, but, you know, then someone will be mad at me if I don't, so I better just go over there and be a grouch or, you know, put up with it. No, you know, either they want to or they don't. They're not going to just eat you, you know, because you're there. They're just dogs, you know, really just big dogs that are true to spirit and are very healing and enriching to the spirit.
Yeah. Well, you know, and that's and I think that leads well into the animal totems and what they are for us, and how when we connect with that thing that's trying to connect with us, we can have you know, some major internal discoveries.
Oh, yeah, major transformations. Now, let me ask you this about animal totems, because I've been reading a whole bunch of different sources, and did your views on animal totems change as you know, after you spent 14 years with the wolves?
I think they evolved. I want to preface everything with saying that I've never, ever read anything about animal totems. So I won't be able to reference any material or tell anyone where to go because I have no clue.
So this is your knowledge, your family, what you grew up with knowing.
Yeah, it's what was taught to me by the elders that I spent many years with, and then through just experience in itself. I really never gave it quality thought. You know, I think when we first met, I was telling you that, you know, it was a friend of mine who really brought it to light, saying, you know, Leyton really knows a lot about this stuff, and I never really gave it much thought, except for when it comes up in conversation. But to actually, you know, intentionally talk about it is almost a new experience.
So you didn't know how wise you really were.
Yeah. Well, I just knew I was a wise guy and a smart ass, but the animal totems have been something that's always been close to my heart, and I ask my elders questions about it often because I always wanted to know. Because, you know, especially for me, a lot of things came to me in the dream time, and I encourage people to look into their dream time to help discover their animal totem. So I asked my elders a lot, much to their chagrin, to help me interpret dreams, and of course they all hated that.
Well, I'm sorry, Leyton, hold that right there. It's that time, but we'll be right back to finish this, or continue this discussion, Animal Totems, with Leyton Cougar, the Wolf Daddy, here on TruthBrigade Radio. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight, Truth Brigade, on AmericanFreedomRadio.com, with our special guest tonight, Leyton Cougar, the Wolf Daddy. He is the director of Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary, WildSpiritWolfSanctuary.org is the website, and where you can find his new book, A Wolf and His Man. If you have any questions or comments for Leyton tonight, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. And if you'd like to join us on the chat, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. Leyton, I guess let me ask you this. Is it fair to say that your animal totem might be a wolf?
Yeah, much to my surprise.
Okay. Well, okay, so I was going to ask you, you mentioned dream time. Were wolves something that came to you before this chapter of your life in dream time?
Not that I know of. No, I was very surprised, and so were a lot of other people. When it actually came to me often throughout my life. I just didn't pay any attention, and it wasn't really until I began working here where it sort of dawned on me, and it really, truly, and it just demonstrates my thick-headedness that it wasn't until a couple of years ago when I actually started writing about my life, when I went, oh my gosh, look at that, the wolf has been around me all this time, and I never paid any attention. And even though I was inducted into the Wolf Clan as a younger man, I didn't care about Wolf Clan. It wasn't important to me at all. All that was important to me was the teaching and learning about nature and that sort of thing. And it wasn't truly until I actually got bit a few times before it really sunk in.
The first time.
Like, wow, this is my primary totem right here. How about that? And obviously it is.
So it took you getting bit to realize?
Well, yeah, one of my elders said, how did you get spider medicine? I said, well, don't talk that way. He said, that's how you got your wolf medicine. I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. But, yeah, you know, it's sometimes, and I'm sort of glad, you know, I didn't approach any of this with any kind of ego. It just fell into my lap, and I have to warn people about animal totems because of my experience. My experience, I have these powerful animal totems. People think of them as powerful, the wolf and the mountain lion, but that's not important. We get caught up in ego. A story I wanted to make sure I get across to people was one about a girlfriend of mine years and years ago when we were sitting around a campfire with some elders and talking about animal totems, and she got so upset when she was told that one of her totems was a rabbit. Because she didn't want a rabbit. She wanted or whatever it was, maybe, you know, something more dynamic and powerful, and you know, and she stormed out. She stormed away for a minute and came back and we said, "What's your problem?" She said, "Well, all a rabbit does is just freeze in a time of danger." And well, I'm like, "No, that's not all it does. You know, a rabbit does have a couple different modems when it comes to a predator coming after it. Yes, one of them is freezing, but part of that freezing can be camouflage." and another time they flee, and both of them can be equally as dangerous. But even though you're fleeing, you might be fleeing to your little underground den and be able to escape your prey. But what I had to instill upon her is that power of camouflage, which brings me to a story about Raven and a bunny rabbit. And Raven and I were one time walking to a parking lot in Albuquerque when I saw a bunny in the parking lot. Raven didn't see the bunny, and it didn't matter to him anyway because he was not a wild wolf, and bunny rabbits didn't equate food to him, so it was not an issue. But I saw the rabbit flatten out on the pavement to hide from the predator seeing him. So I walked Raven over to the bunny rabbit, who was flattened out on the pavement, thinking it's well hid. And it would have been, if I hadn't seen it before it flattened out, I would have never seen it. And when I took Raven over there, I said, "Look, Raven, a bunny rabbit." And the bunny looked at Raven just 2 feet from him and picked up and took off. Raven didn't even try to pursue it. So there I saw the bunny rabbit in 2 modems, one freezing and flattening out to camouflage itself, which would have worked fine, and the other one fleeing, and that definitely worked fine. So both of them escaped the predator. But the point I'm making here is the power of camouflage. And to have rabbit medicine also gives you the power of camouflage, to freeze in a situation and be unseen and left unscathed. That's a good medicine to have. But not only that, because the bunny rabbit is also an herbalist. They eat herbs, and they are going all through the gardens and through the forest, picking herbs. And,
yes, they will eat your herbs.
Yeah, and any of those critters, that live in our mother, the earth, have great medicine to give us, and most of them deal with herbology and earth-type medicine. So once all this was explained to her, she was much more proud to have the bunny rabbit as a totem, because she saw more than just the flight and the fear of a bunny rabbit, but she was also someone who was into herbs, and she could then immediately relate, maybe that's why I'm into herbs so much, because I have that rabbit medicine. Yes, that's why.
Well, I was bit by a big, loud parrot once.
Well, that explains that, doesn't it? That's why you're on the radio, girl.
Oh, my goodness. No, that was a joke. No, but it was real. I was just trying to think when you said that was kind of how you discovered your totem. I'm thinking, well, who have I been bit by? Everyone loves me. And then I remembered that big, mean, loud bird, and they told me not to touch him, but, I just kind of had to, and he bit my pinky. He bit down on my ring and totally bent it out of shape. It had to be cut to be taken off. Oh, goodness. Does that make birdies my totem?
Well, not necessarily. So, just because something does bite us doesn't mean it's our animal totem, but sometimes when things bite us, they're trying to get our attention. And maybe we should start looking at what our animal totems are. But, I saw a recent picture of you with 2 birdies on your head.
Yes,
and so there's bird medicine in there, and we definitely know that you like to chirp, and that's why you're on Truth Brigade, right? So there is a correlation there.
Oh my goodness, you're getting me to think. I guess so.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, so birdies have landed on my head, but raccoons break in my house.
Yeah, well, there's could be a story there to be told as well. But what's important also when we talk about totems is that we don't just sort of gravitate to every animal that comes along, but how do we relate to that animal? And what are the aspects of that animal that are related to? So when a person says to me, well, I feel like, I have an affinity towards turtles. And I'm saying that because that just happened to me the other day. What's that?
Can we talk about some cool animals here?
Is a turtle not cool?
I love turtles. I'm totally teasing. I was just trying to figure out how a 6-foot blonde is a turtle.
Well, but that's not. See, that's the confusion about animal totems. You're not the turtle. It's an aspect of the personality. It's an aspect of the being is what we're talking about when we're talking about animal totems. We're talking about aspects. And the way I describe them in in front of a group is I have a visual aid, which is a medicine wheel. And for anyone who knows what a medicine wheel is and can visualize that circle with the 4 points in the four directions, north, east, south, and west, and each direction, there's things that come from each direction. And what I mean by that is when we take a look at the medicine wheel, when we look at the north, we talk about conception and introspection, the conception of ideas, or looking inside of ourselves. And when we go to the east of the medicine wheel, there in the east where the sun rises, we think of illumination, and we think about sort of the birth of that idea that was conceived in the north. And when we look at the south on the medicine wheel, we think about cultivation, maybe the cultivation of the idea that was conceived in the north and sort of awakened in the east. Now we cultivate that idea, that experience or whatever, and from the south there's lots of power and energy, and in the west we look at the fruition of the idea or that was conceived in the north. And there's a whole bunch of other aspects that come along with it, but when we talk about totems, for instance, for myself, the wolf totem comes to me from the north, that place of conception, the conception of ideas. And the aspect of the wolf is family, and it's cooperativeness, and it's working together. It's about relationship and longevity and those sorts of things. And then for me also in my totem, my opposing totem to the wolf is the mountain lion, which comes to me from the south, very energetic, very powerful. It's more of a loner and does things on its own. And if you know anything about me, I'm very quiet and reserved until I need to not be. And
then I make you come on the radio
and I'm very much a loner, except I'm also a family man. But if you talk to my wife, you'll say you can't get a word out of him unless he's on the radio or on the stage. Or you got to pull him out of his den to come talk to him, or that sort of thing.
Makes him do it.
So when we look at animal totems, we're not saying, well, I'm a turtle, or I'm a lion, or I'm a wolf, or I'm a bobcat. I have the aspect of that personality of that animal in a certain part of my life. So for a person who's a grizzly bear, pretty much if someone's grizzly bear medicine, you know it. There's no question about it, because they're typically a grumpy old bear. Men or women alike, but there's always another aspect of that person that we can relate to. Maybe they have that turtle medicine where they're very calm and peaceful and reserved and slow going at a certain time, but you ruffle their feathers a little bit and suddenly the grizzly bear comes out. And so we look at that as aspects, and if we put the medicine wheel and animal totems together, we can almost read ourselves like astrology, when we can find the aspects of those animals.
Okay, so how do we definitively find one's animal totem?
Well, there's a few different processes that we can use, or all of the above. One, we can look into our past, and we can see what animals have been around us, what animals have come to us. What was the stuffed animal when you were a kid that everybody gave you? When I was a kid, everybody gave me monkeys. It's like, what do I have, monkey medicine?
Monkeys. Monkeys are great.
Yeah,
somebody just reminded me on the text chat what they used to call me, and then you just mentioned stuffed animal. I remember one of them, too. They called me Big Bird.
See, there you go. That bird thing's coming back to you, isn't it? So there's a running theme, and when there's a running theme in your life, you need to take a look at that and say, well, birds. Now don't go picking a bird that you think is the best bird, because I get it all the time. Oh, well, I want my animal totem to be an eagle. Well, you're a sparrow, okay? Get used to that one. You don't have to be an eagle. Or maybe you, Christie, are the parrot. Maybe you're the myna bird. Which bird's very chatty?
Maybe I'm a finch.
Maybe you're the parakeet, the budgie that just can't quit talking. But we look at the things that we look at things that we have, or we're akin to, things that we have an affinity towards. What do people always give us? I'm sure there's a listener out there who someone seems to always give them a picture of a certain animal. Or maybe they have a bunch of different types of animals in photographs or fetishes or in decorative knickknacks or paddywhacks around the house. A great one. Here's a great example. I knocked on a lady's door in California when I used to build furniture in Los Angeles. I knocked on this door, and what answered the door was this very plump woman who was about 5'5", probably weighed close to 300 pounds, wearing a muumuu that was black and white. And as I looked past her shoulder, I saw nothing but cows. Cow wallpaper, cow clocks, cow knickknacks, cow pictures, cow this, cow that. And I said, wow, you have cow. I didn't even get in the door before I said, wow, you have cow medicine. And she looked at me and said, yes, I do. I love to graze.
Okay, at least you didn't slam on your face at that point, but it's that time, Leyton, so we're going to be right back after this short break. Stay tuned. Leyton Cougar here on Truth. So much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Leyton Cougar, the Wolf Daddy, tonight, talking about animal totems. And Leyton, you really got me thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe the bird. The bird is a word. It could be. It could be. But we've talked about some of my animal experiences in my past, and so it's so hard, I guess, for me to decide which one definitively is really it, because what I've found, I've told you about my coyote stories, and I've had all sorts of different animals that just come to me, and when I was aware of the concept of animal totems, I would just Google it when it happened. If it was something out of the ordinary, not just, Bambi walking by because Bambi lives there, but something, a snapping turtle in the middle of the road or, at my doorstep, things like that, I would pay attention to. And I'd look at what the meaning was, and it would always resonate with what I was going through at that time in my life. So, and of course I don't have your wisdom on animal totems. I didn't really know what that meant. I just figured, I guess, okay, well, this is what I need to be listening to or paying attention to right now. I didn't really think that, maybe I was one of these or a bird, all of the time, and maybe these were helpers or, I really don't know what to think about it. You have me more confused, though, thinking about the bird thing.
I didn't mean to confuse you. Well, I think the important thing to realize is that
all the time they want me to shut up, and I just want to say cuckoo and fly away and. So, I'm really, I'm confused here.
Well, we don't have just one animal totem. We have many, and we don't have just one type of personality. We have multiple personalities. We have multiple aspects of who we are. We have grumpy days and happy days, and we put on, happy faces and mean faces, and we, some days we're melancholy and other days we're so energetic. And in the same aspect, we have multiple animal totems or aspects of our life. So just use me as an example to help you understand this. My four primary totems is the wolf, the mountain lion, the owl, and the raven. And so when I put all those on the medicine wheel, they're across from one another. The wolf in the north, the mountain lion in the south, the raven in the east, and the owl in the west. And the aspects of those come to me for different reasons. And so if I'm out at nighttime and I hear an owl, I want to stop and just listen. What's the owl talking about today? He's one of my totems, and what's he talking about this evening? He's watching over me tonight. Let me just pay attention to the night for a minute. and see what comes to me. So we don't want to think that we just have one, but we have primaries and sort of secondary totems. So that thing that comes to you the most, what's the most dominant personality that you have that people see more often than others? It's that sort of thing. So that's what's going to be your dominant totem, that thing. You know,
although, you know, maybe I could be predominantly a bird, you know, when the owl came to talk to me every night for a period of weeks, or the raccoon breaking in every day, those could be the secondary, or maybe just what I need to pay attention to at that moment.
Yes, and take a look at this. We know that ravens and wolves have a symbiotic relationship. You witnessed that when you were here with our wolves and saw all the ravens.
Yes,
well, it just seemed natural, and it worked out perfectly that it just so happened a raven also is one of my animal totems, because they have that relationship together. So that seems obvious why those are together. And just as the red-tailed hawk has a relationship with the snake, those could be someone's, and I have a friend, I'm using those as an example because I have a friend who has both of those medicines, and it works perfect because the snake is food for the red-tailed hawk, but it also has its own aspects that my friend looks at when he's thinking about business and how he knows, you know, and how he acts in his business and that sort of thing. So, and take a look at this. Think of these things for a moment. What, you know, you've heard this all through our lives. All of us have heard people describe others as animals. Oh, that guy's a fat pig, or, you know, he's a snake in the grass. Or that weasel. You know, or that lazy dog. Yeah, that rat fink. You know, so those are what people are actually seeing. They're seeing aspects of us. They're labeling us. We should pay attention to that. I thought
they were just being mean.
Are we, or are we being spiritually observant without even knowing it?
Ah.
You know, but because we're pinpointing aspects of someone's life. And we're attaching it. There's a relationship counselor out there who uses animal totems to help couples understand their relationship. He doesn't do it at all like I do, but I love what he does. And in one of the seminars I saw him in, he was talking to a couple where the wife just doted over the husband every second of every moment of every day, and he said, "What are you, a golden retriever?" Yeah. You know, do you need to wait on him hand and foot? Or are you always just waiting for him to tell you what's next, and you're waiting for his every command? That's a golden retriever. Is that healthy in your relationship? And you know, and when she saw that, you know, it's like, wait a minute, I need a different aspect of my personality to attach to, so I'm not such a golden retriever. You know.
Ah, golden retrievers are sweet. I think that's a beautiful animal totem to have.
And it is, but we need balance.
I'm so surprised she didn't slam the door on your face, because I might have, but we'll get back to that story when we return from this short break. So stay tuned, everyone. We will be right back. Leyton Cougar, WildSpiritWolfSanctuary.org is the website. TruthBrigade. All right, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Top of the second hour here with Leyton Cougar on Truth Brigade Radio. We are talking about animal totems tonight. And, Leyton, we just have a few minutes this segment, but what happened? So the woman didn't slam the door in your face.
No, she was thrilled that I noticed that she was a cow. It was painfully evident that was her primary totem and the only one that she paid any attention to, and she admitted that. And she told me, she says, yes, I love to graze. And I mean, she had cow salt shakers, pepper shakers. I mean, she had cows, everything cows. Her bedroom set was all cow. So she definitely lived her totem, her primary totem.
Oh wow! So she was probably happy that you even knew. I mean. That you mentioned that was her animal totem. Like, oh, wow, I have someone to talk to about this.
That's exactly right.
That's great. I don't know. I'm just imagining. Would I be able to say that and get away with it? Hey, baby, you're a cow totem.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it was she was dressed in a muumuu, for Pete's sake. How much more cow can you be? You're wearing a muumuu. So.
Oh, my goodness. I wish that was on video. Okay, so, all right. So that was her predominant totem. And what you're saying is we all have a predominant one, but there may be several others, secondaries within our chart.
Absolutely.
It's a chart. You set up the medicine wheel or the animal totem wheel just like an astrology chart, kind of.
Yeah, in a way, after I've, showed people it many times and sort of looked at it, it's like, well, in a way, it's almost like astrology. It's not predicting your future by any stretch, but it really just defines the character like your astrological signs typically define a person's character. And when we can look at the full spectrum of the animal totems within a person, after we've investigated what those can be, we can sort of lay them out, and we can see, this is the reason why in this situation you behave this way, because of this type of thing, because of this kind. This is your animal totem here. So there's for instance, in a lot of guys who like to sleep around will say, well, yeah, hey, I do that because my primary totem is elk, and we like to have lots of cows.
I'm a stallion, baby.
And it's also used as a scapegoat and an excuse for behavior as well. But the truth is that when we can look at the aspects of a person through their totems, we can sort of define their character. And you know what? And sometimes when we can have a person defined, we sort of can get along better because we understand what personality is sort of raising its head at the moment. And definitely for me, the mountain lion roars when Leyton gets uptight, and I can be powerful and extreme at moments, but yet at the same time, there's another aspect of me that can just help tone me down a bit, take my time, and realize that nothing really is going to affect me, and that's the porcupine medicine that I have. And of course, porcupine's one of those bizarre things that when my medicine man told me, you have porcupine medicine, I'm like, what? How in the world does that relate to me? And then the explanation came, and I understand clearly.
Well, at least he didn't say you were a cockroach or something.
But even if he did, I wouldn't take that personally because a cockroach has incredible aspects in spite of those disgusting ones, too.
Okay, well, I double dog dare you to tell me something redeemable about a Japanese beetle. But it's that time. We're going to be right back with a much longer segment. Stay tuned. Be right back. Truth Brigade Radio. All right, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight, Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. If you would like to join us for the text chat tonight, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. That's 402-AFR-2525. We are learning about animal totems tonight with Leyton Cougar. He is the director of the Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary out in the desert in New Mexico. Just a beautiful, beautiful place. I hope everyone listening tonight gets to, experience that adventure at least once. That's WildSpiritWolfSanctuary.org. And don't forget to get a copy of his new book, A Wolf and His Man. It's so good to have you here, Leyton. Really, I just appreciate all of your wisdom and you sharing your stories with us and such. Let's hear about this porcupine medicine, though. So you were unhappy to hear that you were a porcupine, huh?
Well, yeah, that's one of the aspects of my personality. I guess sometimes I can be a little prickly, and people definitely don't want to touch me. And a porcupine. It's interesting that ends up being one of my totems for a couple reasons. Number one, the relationship between a mountain lion and a porcupine is that a mountain lion is pretty much the only guy in the forest who can successfully kill and eat one without being quilled, because they turn them upside down, slice their belly open, and eat the yummy insides without getting a quill in them, while a canine will move up on a porcupine very quickly, expecting it to run, but the porcupine doesn't run, and then the canine gets a mouthful of quills. And so there's an element of protection there when that porcupine, who may be slow walking and slow talking, not a whole lot of people want to mess with him. And,
I was just thinking, people probably don't want to mess with you. That's a good one to have.
Yeah, and so those defenses I've used in my past, when need be, I can be a little bit prickly, and people want to back off.
Give me some of that medicine, will you?
Yeah.
Pretty please. Now, how did you find out all of the totems and, becoming definitively sure? I mean, I'm just imagining you probably in your path, maybe some of these animals came to you, whether it was in dream time or physical form, and then, of course, your time with the elders. But how did you put your chart together and find out your primary and secondary animals?
Well, that's something that didn't really develop until way later in life, probably in my late 30s or so, after really, having, nearly 2 decades to look at that over and over and over. But again, for me, it was things that came to me, experiences of the dragonfly medicine is part of my totem system. Most of my totem animals are part of what we call the thunder beings. And so the dragonfly is one of those. And I had many experiences, even from being a young boy up to adulthood, of dragonflies. And even one time I was surrounded by a whirlwind of dragonflies, which was just sort of confirming, that totem. The hummingbird is also one of those members of the thunder beings, and one of the smallest of the thunder beings, and so there's this relationship with certain critters out there, the tree frogs, the wasp.
Amazing. There were so many hummingbirds out front where your sign, and you have the bird feeder. I had the most amazing experience hanging out there one evening. They were flying around my head, and oh my goodness, hummingbirds are amazing.
Yeah.
Just so much power. I mean, it felt like an earthquake, or, is that a helicopter? And it's just this beautiful little tiny thing that, I don't know, flaps their wings, a zillion times a second?
Yeah, and makes big thunder for such a little being.
Mm-hmm.
And, so there's so many different little aspects, and we want to take a look at all of the different things that have come to us over the years. How did I get wasp medicine? It wasn't fun at all.
You were initiated with wasp medicine as well?
Yeah, what a traumatic experience. But today,
did you get stung?
I got stung hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times as a young boy. Out on the farm one time, I happened to be a foggy day, and I was supposed to be out watching the cattle, and instead I was standing around eating huckleberries in the fog when I looked down and saw that my entire leg was covered with wasps. And so that was my initiation into wasp medicine. But today, I welcome getting stung by wasps because it helps my joint problems that I have, the arthritis in my elbows. And so even this year, I intentionally had a couple wasps sting me just so I could feel better in a couple days because of the pain in my elbow. So
is that kind of like a bee sting therapy?
That's exactly what it was.
Wow.
And,
so you go out and hang out with their nests and say, come on, baby.
Yeah, I just, I accidentally rubbed my elbow against one of their nests. And once somebody stung me, I'm like, right on, here, do the other elbow. So, in spite of the fact that it hurt, 2 days later, my elbows felt a lot better. And so I feel like as a youth they gave me some medicine, some real medicine. They injected me with poison, which ended up truly being medicine. And now I recognize that, and I use that medicine as often as they allow me to, so that I can stay healthy and functional and that sort of thing. So it's not just, it's actual physical medicine, with not just, because we call animal totems also animal medicine, or we'll say that person has wolf medicine or that person has deer medicine, but we're really speaking of the totem.
Wow. Well, I've never been stung by anything. When you brought up wasp, I was thinking of those really big wasp hives in the garage I had in Salt Lake, but I've never been stung by anything. Does that mean I don't have one of those as one of my totems, or?
You may not, but at the same time, maybe you do. I would be certainly willing.
Maybe I'm just nice. No.
Yeah. But, I bet you if you asked a beekeeper if he had bee medicine, he would definitely say, yes, I do. So because he's actually going to be working with the animal that is probably one of his primary totems. And what an incredible totem to have bee medicine, like honeybee medicine, the pollinators of the planet, those who are really caretakers of our entire forests and landscape. Those bees are so important. So that's an incredible, although it's a small creature, it's an awesome, awesome totem.
Definitely. We love those bees.
and that wonderful nectar that they make, so there's that relationship there.
Yeah. So it was like a 20-year journey for you finding out your animal totems.
Yeah, and it may not be over. There might be some animal totems that sort of drop out of the picture and new ones arrive as parts of my life change, and as we go through different stages in our lives, as we get older and have more experiences and maybe change our geographical location, because oftentimes totems are also geographical. There's going to be somebody in Hawaii is going to have a far different totem system than someone in Florida, or in South Georgia or Wisconsin.
Siberia.
Absolutely. So geographic location means a lot. If you anyone who's been
when they leave, do they leave forever, or
they can.
Are they still part of your chart?
Well, those aspects can sometimes fade away. Just like ideas that we had as a youth, as we grow older, fade away and new ideas take shape. We may hold on or to those old ideas at some level, but they don't really surface. So it's the same thing with the totems. We might have one that's a primary totem for a very long period of our life because we needed that aspect to come out of us. But over time, we don't quite need that aspect because we've matured, or life has changed, or we've had something significant in our life that helped us change.
So what about your main totem? Will that always be there, or could that change too?
I think it would probably have a fair stronghold in your life throughout your life. It's those secondary totems that tend to sort of surface and disappear as we need them. And there's probably new ones. I can
once
definitely.
Once a wolf daddy, always a wolf daddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I could definitely see a person who had a specific totem that they really relied on, and then had a significant life change, like maybe a tragic auto accident, and suddenly a new animal totem comes to their rescue, in a sense, to help them recover and to make the adjustments they need to make in their life. So we can expect that we could have new arrivals of totems when we pay attention, because and what I want people to understand about animal totems is, if you feel like you have an affinity towards an animal, look it up. Go to the internet or the library and read about that animal itself. Where does it live? What does it eat? How does it sleep? Does it burrow? Does it live in a tree? Does it does it hunt out someone else's dwelling and take it? What are the aspects of that animal that you feel this affinity to, and how do they relate to you as a person living today in the 21st century?
Okay, I see. Now, all right, you teach seminars and groups and stuff, speaking, of animal totems. If somebody wants their animal totem done, are you able to do that for them? Do you do, say, telephone consultations or email?
No, I just don't have the time to do that sort of thing, and that's definitely not what I'm about. But what I would encourage them to do is to come to one of our retreats and talk about that. We have a retreat coming up this February 17th, here at the sanctuary. And if people want to get in touch with that, they want to go to www.whado.com. I'm going to spell that for you. WHA-DHO.com, and hit the retreats button. And
okay, that's WHA.
Right.
Did you say dash?
Dash DHO.
DHO.com.
Okay. It's pronounced Wado. And my good friend Paul D'Souza, he directs that retreat, and he'll be bringing a group of people out here to see us and to do that workshop. And we'll talk all about animal totems. We'll talk all about the medicine wheel and how those things attach to those animal totems attach to the medicine wheel, and help people find their self through this full circle of power, these animal totems and this medicine wheel.
Okay. Leyton, we have a caller on the line, and it is unavailable, so if that is you, welcome to the show.
Hi, happy birthday, Christie.
Hey, Louie, how you doing tonight?
I'm all right. Oh goodness, I forgot the joke I was gonna say, but oh well. Just wanted to ask, did you get your Tobias Tickle Me Tobias large doll yet?
Louie is our resident prankster, Leyton. I'm sure he doesn't know of your special relationship with Tobias.
I don't think he does. So I didn't quite hear the question. So what was the joke?
Why don't you enlighten us about your special relationship, Louie?
Well, actually, no. I just wanted to tell your guest if he could click his heel 3 times and go back to Africa.
I'd like to do that.
Yes.
Okay, Louie. I know you have a serious question, because I think you asked me about, you said something about wolves coming into your life a lot, and what does that mean?
Actually, I kind of realized that my animal totem is the noble koala.
The koala bear.
Yes, because every time I eat plants, I go insane, and I just want to scratch the crap out of somebody. So,
yeah, it would be tough. It would be tough on a person to have koala medicine, because the koala bear is one of the few animals that eat one thing their entire life. How boring can that be?
Oh, wow. What is that one thing?
Eucalyptus.
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was Puerto Ricans from Brooklyn.
You got me. This is so funny.
Okay, Louie. All right. So you don't have a serious question. You're just calling to joke around with us?
Well, yeah, because, your show gets kind of monotonous, so I just try to break it up and make everyone happy. It's like the 7-inning stretch when I call in. So, I call in, I clean the field, I do a little dance to YMCA, and then boom, back to the game. So I hope everyone got a chance to go use the bathroom, get a soda with some pretzels, and now we return you now to your regularly scheduled Truth Brigade Radio. Stay black, everybody.
Okay. All right, and that was the Louie B.
That was
Radio.
that coyote prankster medicine.
I thought he was going to call in and get some serious insight into his possible wolf totem.
Yeah, he's mistaken. It's coyote totem he's got there. It's the trickster, the prankster.
Ah, yeah. Maybe. Well, he's in Brooklyn, so he doesn't even know what wolves and coyotes look like. He may have got him confused. So, When you do animal totems, though, or help people find theirs, do you do it through Dreamtime work? Do you do it just through maybe even just counseling, talking with the person? Or can somebody just call in and you just feel coyote all over it?
No, it's a conversation. It's a lengthy conversation, and sometimes it's just a time of introspection. When people come out for one of our retreats, we're going to have them sit down in the woods and just be quiet themselves and contemplate things. And we're going to have conversations to sort of draw out, what has come to you and get people to, once dialogue starts, the ahas start to come through,
Ah, the ahas. Okay, hold that right there, Leyton. It's that time. We'll be right back after this short break. TruthBrigade, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight with Leyton Cougar talking about animal totems. And Leyton is the director of the Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary in New Mexico. That's wildspiritwolfsanctuary.org. And if you have any questions or another seventh inning stretch, the number is 402-237-2525. And if you'd like to join us on the text chat, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. So basically, Leyton, when you're talking with people, it's a long discussion, and then you'll probably help jog people's minds like you are mine.
Yeah.
And thinking, oh, my gosh, I am a bird. Wait, yes, and then remember all these bird things, etc. So it kind of starts like that. You also said that if people kind of call you something your whole life or give you gifts or whatever. I have a friend whose name is Moose, or he goes by Moose, or Moose Dog. And, and I was just, okay, where did you get that nickname? And they said that, well, he was big when he was a kid or something, but the name just stuck. It's like 35 years later. And, he looks like a moose. He is a moose, I think. I mean, I think there's a lot to it. If people get, like, certain nicknames or something, how would you know, though, unequivocally, if he really is a moose?
I mean, you've already said it. I mean, he is. He looks like a moose. He calls himself Moose. People call him Moose. He's got to have Moose as his primary totem. But the other thing you could do is take a look at the aspects of a moose and the aspects of this guy named Moose and see what's different. Does Moose like to eat? Is he a browser? A moose out in the woods is browsing all day. Every time it's awake, it's browsing.
That is what he does all day long. And the eating thing, oh, yeah, he can eat. I have never seen, yeah.
And, and a moose... As you watch a moose, as it seems to be just browsing through the forest, it's actually quite passive, but it's the most deadly animal in Alaska.
Wow.
So more people die from moose than they do from wolves or anything else, or bear. So we take a look at that cool, calm, collective look of a moose, but yet you just get in its way one time in the wrong way, and it's going to plow you over.
Yes, Bullwinkle will get you.
Yeah, so...
Oh, my goodness. It's, I didn't really even think about it. It took me, I guess I've been calling him Moose because that's his name, and it really didn't hit me, I guess, until recently, a few weeks ago, and I guess I mentioned we're doing a show on animal totems, and, of course, everyone, well, what's my totem? What's my totem? Everyone wants to know, and it's, you're a moose. You really are a moose.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, what else have people called me? Is a bitch an animal?
It's a dog. And that's a compliment, in my opinion. Because I
agree. Dogs rock.
Yeah, the dogs are faithful, they're loving, they're forgiving, they're loyal, and they're nurturing. We use dogs for all kinds of things, for helping us in all kinds of ways. So
give too much.
Yeah, so that's the best. That's the best totem you could be. Is have some. And truly, my true totem really is wolf dog, not just the pure wolf, but the wolf dog.
Okay, so when you're setting up someone's chart, you have the primary, then how many secondary animals are there, or does that vary?
Yeah, I don't think there's any one set number. I don't think nature does that. We have so many aspects of our lives, and that we can tune in to just about anyone. I remember a few years ago when when I had just taken over Wild Spirit, and my good friend and teacher who lives down the road, he kept telling me, mouse medicine, use the mouse medicine. And I'm like, I don't have mouse medicine. He was like, yes, you do. Use it. You know what I'm saying? And what he was saying is for me to tap into an aspect I don't really appreciate. I'd rather kill a mouse than feed it. But because mice do this horrible thing. They come into your pantry and they take a little nibble out of this box and a little nibble out of that bag and a nibble out of this box and a nibble out of that, and they destroy everything you have with little nibbles. But if we take a look at that in a different way, when it comes to a business like this that has so many aspects in itself, and I can't get it all done at once, I take a nibble over here, I take a nibble over there, I take a nibble over here, and soon all these little things are done.
Yeah, right.
I didn't take big chunks out over here that absorbed all my time. I didn't take big chunks over here that absorbed all my time. I didn't take big chunks over here. I took little bits and finally got the whole project together and got this whole thing to where you've seen it, where it's all come together. But I didn't wear myself out by taking big chunks in all sorts of directions. I took itty-bitty bites.
And mice or rats, they're very resourceful.
They are intensely resourceful.
They don't die of starvation.
Yeah. And they're very territorial, and they're very possessive, and they're also collectors of beautiful things. And so, so the aspects go on and on and on, and we can
have a good food pantry storage.
Yeah. So you could walk into someone's house and take a look around at their knickknacks they have on the shelves, the photographs they have hanging on the walls. You can look in their refrigerator and their closets, and you can almost begin to determine what kind of a person are they. Are they a pack rat where they have just clutter everywhere? Or are they a neat freak that has everything in order and that they require? Take all those different aspects and look at them clearly. And you can see that a person might have so many different kinds of animal totems that reflect all over their house.
Yeah, or just the way, you're right. I mean, I'm just thinking of how I keep my kitchen as opposed to other people. I might have a little pack rat in me.
Yeah.
I'm sure I do. Someone's asking on the chat here if volunteers can help out at the sanctuary. Can you tell us how we can help you?
Well, volunteers, we have basically a couple different volunteer programs. We have the weekend warrior, person who wants to come out for a weekend and really just bust their buns and get a project done that we've got already lined up. We have the live-in volunteer, which is 3 months minimum, and they live on site. We provide their room and board for them, and then the other volunteer is one that might be in one of our nearby cities where we would need help when we do an outreach program where we set up maybe in front of a natural food store or something and sell our wares and have a wolf there and just have someone come and help us with the event setting up and selling merchandise and that sort of thing. So those are our basic volunteers, and all of that is on our website.
Okay, all right. So, there's someone asking from Iowa. Maybe they could take a month or 3 month vacation and go help out.
Heck yeah, they can just go online and fill out that application, and I wonder where they are in Iowa. I wonder if they know about our Iowa trio that we got from the February Zoo in Davenport.
Tell us about your Iowa trio.
Well, and you remember Aquila and Navarre and Brutus, and of course our little Romeo, our fox. They all came from Iowa, and I'm really pleased actually. These 3 tundra wolves who they've been relatively friendly to almost all the girls that work here for us, but now they're even warming up to a few of the guys. So they're seeing us interact with other wolves, and they're kind of wanting some of that love in it. So even some of the guys have been able to touch Brutus and Aquila. So that's pretty cool. Because we don't force any animal into any activities, but we certainly would encourage any sort of interaction if we can get it from them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, so if one wants to volunteer, they would just go to wildspiritwolfsanctuary.org, and then you have an application on the site?
Yes, we do.
You are so blessed. I mean, when we were there, you had volunteers from literally all over the world.
Yes. Yeah, and right now we're actually quite shy on volunteers, but we do have one gal who's been with us a few times. She just showed up yesterday. She's from England, and we have a young man from Sweden who's here with us right now,
nice.
Who wasn't here when you were here, but the one boy from Sweden who was here when you were here is also coming back in March. So that's great to have some people that already know the ropes and want to come back and get right back into the routine they just left. So that's pretty cool. We
how many
can't survive.
volunteers do you have at any given time?
Well, like I said, we can't survive without volunteers, and right now we've only got a couple of them. We really need, in the summertime we need about 10 to 12, and in the wintertime we need about 4.
Oh, okay. Why is it? You're open 24/7 pretty much, aren't you?
Yeah, we sure are, but there's less projects happening in the wintertime because the winter is the longest season, and we're restricted because of the cold and the snow often of doing some of our building projects so we really try to hustle in the summertime and get lots of projects done. And so there's always building and fencing and things to do in the summertime. But if there's somebody out there who's a skilled carpenter and is easy to get along with, I'd sure like you to come out and help me do some work on the inside during this winter time. We've got lots of indoor projects.
Ah, right. If there's any carpenters out there, excellent. So room and board. What kind of internet connection do you have out there?
Pretty crappy internet, actually. Very crappy. We have one internet. We pay a fortune for it too. We have 2 satellite dishes. One is strictly for our website stuff, and the other one's for our volunteers to use. And we're restricted on our bandwidth, so you can't, watch movies or play music or anything. You can just do your email and your Facebook, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, all right. So room and board, and you get to have the experience of a lifetime. That's just great that people come from all over the world and keep coming back. I mean, that says a lot. And
that is what I love. Very few times do I ever invite people back. I got to tell you, the honest truth, I really don't invite a whole lot of people back. But in the last few years, we've had some wonderful volunteers, and I invited many to return, and I'm thankful that they do, because they already know most of what's going on. We just kind of got to get them back up to speed and then turn them loose to do the work that they know how to do, and deal with the animals. And those are long days, though, too. It's not all fun and games, right? No, it's virtually no fun and games.
That's not true.
It's the experience in itself.
I, made it in the cage.
Yeah. It's really the experience in itself that's really a blast, and I think that's why people want to come back, because, I work people hard. There isn't a lot of free time for goofing off. But and most people, when they come from a foreign country, they don't even have a way to get around, so they're stuck here on the edge of nowhere, 65 miles from the nearest town, and they want to come back because they get a fabulous experience, and we're surrounded by these incredible teachers, the wolf, and there's so much to do, so much to learn when we're here. So and I think also
they come back a changed person.
Well, the wolves have that quality in them. The wolves have the ability to transform us, and that's part of their medicine that they bring is teaching and learning and understanding and transformation. And I'm willing to wager that a very large percentage of the people that end up here as volunteers have the wolf in their totem system somewhere, and that's why they come.
Ask, do you think that it's already their totem, or maybe becomes a part of it after being there?
I think on some sort of etherical, spiritual, non really thought through process that the wolf is calling to them. as their teacher. It doesn't have to be their primary totem, but there's so much more that they learn here. And, and truly, I'll admit this about...
Oh, I'm sorry, Leyton. Hold that right there. We'll finish this up when we return after this short break. Leyton Cougar on Truth Brigade Radio. Right, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com, talking about or learning about animal totems with Leyton Cougar, who is the director of the Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary. You can find that at wildspiritwolfsanctuary.org. Beautiful high desert, New Mexico. I certainly hope everyone gets a chance to visit it. And also the author of the book, Wolf and His Man, which you could also find at the website. But Leyton, if you would, we kind of got cut off there on the break. If you would, please continue.
Well, I was just mentioning that it was a group of volunteers a year or so ago. I walked into the volunteer kitchen when they were in a conversation about animal totems and asked me what I knew. And so I sat down, we had a long conversation. But I believe the conversation started because some of the volunteers were kind of curious about whether the wolf was like one of their totems or their spirit animals, which is sort of the same concept, a totem or a spirit animal. And I had to agree with the group that were in there that probably most of them had come there because of the wolf as one of their totems or their spirit animals, and it was calling to them to come and learn a little bit about what the aspects of the wolf are, and to actually help them see inside themselves.
Okay, so maybe they weren't aware that they had a wolf totem when they got there, but probably became aware of it in their learning experience.
Yeah, and I think everybody's a little bit different. I mean, we've had some people come here with, wolf tattoos because they felt that affinity, and then they wanted to come here and really get to know the animal and realize that, maybe it wasn't their primary totem, but it definitely was an aspect of their personality was there with that spirit animal. And then, there's the other animals that they get to encounter, because so many people come from big cities so far away, and then they get out here in the wilderness. The wolf, I've always told them that the wolf might be calling you here, so you can meet the coyote or the dog or the snake or the horned toad or the tarantula. All these things that are here in the Southwest, they might all just be calling you. Come take a look at us. We're part of your totem system, and here we are right in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a question that came up on the break. Can animals have animal totems?
I wonder. That one I haven't come up with before. That must be your friend from New Jersey. But I wonder, and I suppose in a lot of ways, I potentially our domestic dogs when we look at them, because we have some dogs that act like cats and some dogs that act like monkeys and whatever else. So maybe they do, and I haven't thought of that one yet.
Dogs that act like humans.
Yeah. Well, we just got a dog we named Bunny because she hops like a bunny. So maybe she's got bunny medicine.
I think you're onto something. He has a bunny totem. Does he eat herbs too?
I don't know. I'll have to see. So it's the animal totems are within us and surround us all the time. And I think what's important for us as we're wrapping it up is that it's subtle. It's not always in your face. And it's the subtleties that's how Spirit talks to us, is through subtle moments. And when we don't listen to Spirit long enough, and it's tried hard enough to get our attention, sometimes we have to slam a tree at 60 miles per hour and so that we can get Spirit can get our attention. And I want to encourage people not to slam a tree at 60 miles per hour for Spirit to get your attention,
right?
But to take a look at the subtle things that happen to you on a day-to-day basis that you totally ignore most of the time, whether that's that brisk walk to the 7-Eleven where you always encounter that same little whatever. Maybe that same little whatever is talking to you, because totems aren't always just animals. They also can be flowers and trees and rocks and things. And so we want to, they can be gemstones. They can be all kinds of things that come to us in that spiritual nature that help us realize something about ourselves. And when we take a look, and when we go inside, when we do that introspection, and we go back in our history, and we look at our lives and say, what has surfaced so often that I've so often pushed away or ignored, and what is it really here to tell me? And that's how we get to understand what those animal totems are. And I think if a person wants to learn more about this sort of thing, maybe one day I'll write something about it, but come to a workshop, either one of the Spirit Travel with Tobias Lars, or with my friend Paul D'Souza with the Wado Institute, and come out and be here in this peace and quiet with the wolves howling and the moon rising and the stars at night and the fire there, and get in touch with those spirit animals that we can help bring some awareness to you in this natural environment here.
Absolutely. It is just so beautiful and cleansing for the soul. I just want to mention earlier in the show, before you mentioned bird and parrot, before we got off on that, somebody sent me a Skype message with an article about, it was a parrot and I think a monkey. Trying to scroll back here. Yeah, a parrot riding a monkey. And then when you said parrot, I clicked on my email, and there was an email, and the subject was, let me look this up right here. The subject was something like 2 birds with 1 stone. Here it is. Where is it? Oh, gosh, I get so much email, and I delete it so quickly. I'm sorry, but it said something about birds in the subject line, and I'm like, oh, here it is, 2 wings of the same bird. So, I don't know, maybe those little signs I need to pay attention to.
Yeah, there's a birdie talking.
Oh, my gosh, we're almost out of time. So let me ask you this quickly. If, say we want to attempt some dream work and we really want to find out what our animal totem is, what do you recommend we can do right now to get us closer to that discovery?
Just exactly what you said. Just meditate. Sit quietly. Have no expectations. Just ask for clarity in your mind and see what comes to you. But I want to also remind people that when you're in this meditation, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open so that thing can present itself to you. For all you know.
Oh, yeah, very good advice. I'm so sorry, Leyton. We are out of time, darn it. We will have to do this again. Always such a pleasure to have you. Once again, Leyton Cougar, Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary.